YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. We got a good video today. We're dropping our podcast with Be Smooth Entertainment. You guys need the backstory. You know, I reacted to one of his reactions about the Marcus Smart contract extension. Maybe we disagreed about a few things. Then he reacted to my reaction of his reaction. I think I have that right. And then we saw the comments down below. You know, people were picking sides. They were saying, hey, you guys got to collab. You got to address the beef that you guys have. So what do we do? You know, within 24 hours, I reached out. I said, hey, man, you want to come on the podcast and talk about it? He said, yeah, let's do it. And then just a couple hours later, we were on here talking some Celtics, talking Marcus Smart contract extension. We'll see. Did I get him to budge a little bit? Did he get me to budge in terms of what our take was? You'll have to find out. But anyways, guys, if you do want to find him, make sure to check out the link in the description. I'll link his channel over there. Make sure to go hit that subscribe button to him. And then hit that subscribe button for this channel as well and like this video. And then let me know in the comments down below who you agree with. Now, yeah, let's skip to it. Let's go squash the beef. Hey, before we get to it, I gotta let you guys know we're now partnered with the NBA store. Yeah, the official NBA store is linking up with the Unleashed podcast. So make sure to use the link down in the description to pick up your favorite player's jersey. Maybe go get some of those new Celtics jerseys, or go get yourself a Marcus Smart jersey because he's going to be here long term, I think. So head over to the NBA store, use that link in the description. Now let's get to the episode. All right, we're now bringing on Bobby, a.k.a. Be Smooth Entertainment. What is going on, man?
How you feeling, man? What's up? Thanks for having me.
I'm feeling good. What is, we were just talking about it real quick. What's the vibe here? Like, what do you think you're walking into? Are we... Because I saw the comments on both of our videos. Are we beefing? 100%. Is this a friendly conversation? What are you thinking?
Beef's always good for YouTube, man. But there's no beef here, man. It's a nice little debate, and I love sports debates.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Like, I knew, and I mean, I think both of our reaction videos, if you guys haven't, if you don't know the backstory, I reacted to one of Bobby's videos talking about the Marcus Smart, which we will kind of, we'll attempt to get to the bottom of today. I don't know if we're gonna, but I reacted to his video because it was sent to me, and then obviously, you know, I think you said people sent you my video and you reacted to my reaction of your reaction. And I figured instead of me jumping on and doing a reaction of a reaction of a reaction of a reaction, let's jump in the same video, I guess, virtual room, and let's handle it. But yeah, that's sort of the backstory. So I think we differ on the Marcus Smart situation. And honestly, not that greatly. Like, when that video was sent to me, and I said it in my video too, like, I'm not a Marcus Smart you-know-what sucker. You know what I mean? Like, there's Celtics fans that are like that, and I can recognize that, but I do think I like him, and I like the contract a little bit more than you do. So, yeah, okay, a lot more. We can start there. But before we do jump into it, I do want you to, I guess, tell anyone watching this that may not know, you know, who you are, what you do. You want to just give a little background story?
Yep, name is Bobby, living down here in the ATL. I was born in Boston, so that's how I became a Boston sports fan, but obviously I share a heart with Boston sports and Atlanta sports. Boston usually wins a little more than Atlanta. They usually heartbreak a little more, so I have a nice little balance between the two teams and two cities. But yeah, I started my YouTube channel back in like 2017. Started with just doing gaming, then the sports, and then really doing a lot more of Celtics content. But yeah, I love the NFL, UFC, and obviously NBA in general. That
was one thing you got mad at, huh? I said, hey, he's a Celtics YouTuber.
Never liked that.
Hey, to be completely honest, that's what I saw the most of. That's what I associated with it. So I gave you that title, Celtics YouTuber. But I will stick around for NFL season, I guess, to make sure that I was wrong there. But yeah. So that's awesome. Thanks for coming on again. This Marcus Smart situation.
What's up?
19 million extension. You gave your reaction, and I think I said it in my video, if I'm not mistaken. That was an instant reaction to you. You know what I mean? You had no real processing time or anything like that, right? You kind of hopped on and did that. So, and again, I think you're going to stand by what you say, but for anyone watching, listening, I think that is worth mentioning. Like, yours was an instant reaction. I was reacting to your video 5 days later or so. So you don't like the signing. You don't like the signing. You said you don't like, it's not about Marcus Smart. You said, hey, I'm not hating the player, but I think me and you both know, right? Like, there's a little bit of hate for the player in there, if we're being honest. And I'm saying a little bit. I'm not saying you hate Marcus Smart, but there is hate in your heart for Marcus Smart. There has to be.
I think what people love to do, and when I mean people, I mean Celtics fans in general. The Celtics fans that's in my comment section, that's probably in yours. The people that make Marcus Smart seem like he was Scottie Pippen. It's just not what happens. People make this man out to be he is a well-improved three-point shooter. Yeah, because he was that awful to start his career. Now he's an average three-point shooter. People thinking he's Steph Curry. He's a pretty good defender. But yeah, there are also other pretty good defenders in the NBA, but no one's going to give him this massive contract. You bring up Patrick Beverley, a little difference there. He's made a lot more all defensive teams than Marcus Smart has. But regardless, I think for me, I don't hate the player. I hate his play style. I'm not a fan of he's going to hustle. He's going to dive on the ground, and then he's going to turn the ball over at the next possession. I'm not a fan of him.
Hey, I can hear that out, and I think that's why this is going to be a good talk, because it's not like, again, you might see the positives in him, but you also recognize the negatives. I see the positives and recognize. I think we're both on a similar page, and then definitely anyone in the comments might think. But you say Marcus Smart's a pretty good defender. That just can't be more inaccurate. Like, what do you mean pretty good?
Yes, people are like, oh, Bob, he can guard the 1 through 5. Okay, please stop. For a possession, he could maybe get a stop at Giannis taking a charge. If you're going to put Smart on Giannis, Giannis is going to average 15 and 15. Please stop this. Oh, he's the Marcus Smart, the Giannis stopper. He can steal from Joel Embiid. Sure, anyone can steal the ball one possession. Put Giannis or put Marcus Smart on Giannis the entire game. You just
named two like incredible guys. Who does stop those guys?
Okay, no one stopped those guys. People used to call Al Horford the Joel Embiid stopper.
Yeah, that was a shtick. That was a shtick, because I mean he just wasn't. But I think Marcus Smart is so much past a pretty good defender. You know what I mean? Like top 5 defender. I don't know about that. I mean, you could say all defense. Top 5's a way different topic than pretty good. What are you talking about? You say top 5. I hesitate, and you go, yeah. See, I'm right.
Maybe give him top 5 perimeter defenders. I could give him maybe 3 or 4.
Yeah,
defenders in general, no, he's not. I don't know if he's making them top 10. I don't know if he's cracking.
That is. I'm not gonna lie. That's fair, because I think you always probably give a nod to a rim defender, right? Yeah, before you even give a perimeter defense. But the thing about Smart too, I think we're talking covering one guy. Like Marcus Smart is, and you have to admit he is a guy that can strive at somehow being in 2 places at once. And I don't want to focus on last year either, because I think his defense compared to his previous season, he sucked last year. It seemed like he was putting too much effort into offense, frustrating the hell out of everyone, and then on the defensive end wasn't doing those sort of, hey, we love you for this Marcus Smart type stuff. But throughout his career, and that's where I kind of got into the, we'll talk Fournier versus Smart in a second. Throughout his career, Marcus Smart has been a guy that you can anchor a defense around, and that's pretty damn rare for a guard. It is. You don't have a big man. He's rotating backside to help. He's there to take charges. He's there to strip a big man when he does the spin, especially the Giannis spin. They have been able to actually anchor a defense around Marcus Smart and get into the Eastern Conference Finals.
Can I ask you a question?
Go for it.
Where was all this defense when Tyler Hero was dropping buckets on us last year in the bubble? Where was all this?
Okay. That's fair. No, 100%. I think Marcus Smart's been on sort of a slide for maybe a year and a quarter. Give you that. But you're going Tyler Hero, one series in the bubble versus Marcus Smart for 6 years before that.
6 years. I would give him all NBA level defense for about 3.5 years. I also think it's not a coincidence that Al Horford, who's also a great defender, was playing alongside with him. When Al Horford left, the defense went down. Even before Al Horford, he was a solid defender, but he wasn't better than Avery Bradley now. Let's calm down with this. Avery Bradley was a better defender than Marcus Smart.
Better on-ball defender, I give you that.
100%. Yeah. Did Marcus Smart get to chase down blocks and switch on the bigs and maybe strip him one time? Sure, but to act like Bradley, Patrick Beverley, all those guys couldn't do that. It's just false.
Yeah, I mean, if we want to do the Beverley thing, that was, and when I brought the Beverley up, because you brought it up, that was more of like a money play on my end. I recognize Patrick Beverley's a really good defender and whatnot, but Patrick Beverley, I think he's like 5 or 6 years older than him too, and only making, that was just off the top of my head. I think it's like $5 million less. That all makes that makes sense to me. Marcus Smart's 6 years younger. He is bigger. I think he is a better defender as of right now. Like, he's making more money, and I think you agreed to that briefly when we were when I was watching your video, your reaction to my reaction to your reaction earlier. True. But just overall, like I get it, Avery Bradley, Al Horford, he had guys playing alongside them, but who like through and through was sort of the guy that reigned true as like the Celtics defender. Like they let Al Horford, they get rid of Al Horford, they get rid of Avery Bradley. Like, you don't think in the back of their heads they're thinking, okay, that's because Marcus Smart can handle what we're about to lose.
My question to you would be, what did he handle? What did we do? We went to the East Conference Finals and lost to a team that wasn't good enough. We got in the first round. Sure, Jaylen Brown was hurt, but they also had injuries with James Harden the entire damn series. We lost in 5. Marcus Smart, sure, defense is nice and all. Defense, the old quote of defense wins championship, sure, it's cool in the series. But getting to that point to be in a championship game, it doesn't help. You need scoring. And that's why I was with the Fournier train, not with the Marcus Smart. Sure, defense is cool, but you don't put points on the board, you're still going to lose.
Yeah, and I think I've even, like, I'm on record totally saying that. It's changed. Like, the Nets have a great chance of winning the championship
100%.
with no defense. Like, you go out and score 150 points, it doesn't matter if you let up 140. You had a double-digit win. So I'm agreeing with that, but it doesn't, like, so let's move to that Fournier topic then, because that's sort of, I think that's definitely where this generated, right? Because, and again, I didn't even know that till, like, I don't know, halfway through your video, like what sort of the silver lining or the thread of your video was. And it ended up being you know, for $78 million, they could have kept Fournier, assuming that he wanted to and whatnot. And I think he did. Like, I think, you know, that was clear. Or potentially did, right? Because obviously it's ultimately his choice. Versus Marcus Smart for 77. So I'll let you go ahead, because you kind of just started to touch on it with the scoring aspect. You take it away there. Why Fournier over Smart?
For me, it goes into the scoring and the offensive game. And again, we kind of named a couple of people. I talked to a kid on a podcast before. It was, we have Tatum, Brown, solid defenders. I won't call them all NBA, solid defenders. You have Josh Richardson, solid defender. Dennis Schroeder is a really good guy. Why add on another guy that's a pretty damn good defender, the best of the bunch, when you can add a damn good score? And again, like the point we're talking about, scoring, you can never have too much of it. If the Nets going to have 25 point per game scores on their team, 3 of them, why not us have more? Why couldn't we have Tatum averaging, let's say, 26, Brown goes to 22, and Fournier can average 19, 20? What's wrong with that? And Richardson's just as good of, I'm not going to call him better than Marcus Smart, but could he replace Marcus Smart in that aspect? 80% of him? 100%. Doesn't mean he's going to dive on the ground and break his hand and his wrist and his hamstring. And look at how often Marcus Smart misses games. Dennis Schroeder doesn't miss games. Richardson barely misses games. I don't know, man.
I mean, I do think Marcus Smart's played, you know, 80 games a couple times. He's played 70 games a couple times, 65 plus, like, multiple times. Like, I don't know if he misses the amount of games is what you're roping him into. I'm not gonna lie, he gets plenty injured. Look it up. I'm just going off the top of my head, so you could totally be right here, but I wouldn't tout Marcus Smart as a guy that misses so many games every single year. I think, and when he does, I think it's because he fractures his hand or he, you know, has a legit hamstring injury. So it's, and I know that's not the argument you're making that he's, you know, out for bumps and bruises, but on the Fournier topic, on the needing scoring topic, I think I'm sure, you know, like, I agree with that too. Like, you could never have as many scorers, but I will say this to counter what you're saying, hey, we added Schroeder, we added Josh Richardson, defenders, whatnot. Why do we need Marcus Smart as a defender? You could make the exact same flip of an argument for offense. We added Schroeder, we added Josh Richardson. Why do we need another scorer? Those guys are equally as good scoring as they are defensively. Like, you added 2 scorers just as much you adding 2 defenders in that sentence you just said.
Who would you take over scoring, Fournier or Schroeder?
I think it's pretty damn close, but Fournier.
Okay. And I'm guessing you're taking Fournier over Josh Richardson as well.
Yeah, I mean, but I think you'd be crazy to say that you're taking either of those guys over Marcus Smart's defense. That's the direct counter. You just asked me a 1-to-1. Hey.
I think, while I agree with that one, I don't think individual defenders win games or lead your team. Gary Payton was not just good because he was a one side of the court. He was a great playmaker, a great scorer. Marcus Smart's cool. You take Marcus Smart out, people act like we're going to drop from – we weren't even a top 10 defense last year. We were top 7. We might have been 9. If anything, we were like 11 or 12. So you take Marcus Smart, we're going to drop to 25? No, we're not going to be the Brooklyn Nets. We still have great defenders around him. Robert Williams, people are clamoring. He's going to be the next Bam Adebayo. He's going to be incredible. So why can't you have him as our defensive anchor, the heart and soul, the grit and grind these Celtics fans tell me?
Because he misses games too. But I will agree with you in the fact that Fournier can win a game himself, right? Easily. I mean, we didn't see it in Boston, really. You know, like, we didn't get that opportunity
in the Olympics. We saw that.
You did, and you saw it in Orlando, and maybe, I guess you could say, before that in Denver too. I don't know if I'd give him that, but yes, Marcus Smart isn't going to. Other than that James Harden, like, back-to-back offensive draw a few years back, you're not winning a game via Marcus Smart's defense single-handedly. I give you that totally. But how many, like, if we do want to, and I guess I'm just playing devil's advocate with this one, like, how many games is Evan Fournier winning you single-handedly? And I'm not saying that's the only reason you want him over it, but, you know, if you're going to say, hey, you're getting 0 single-handed wins out of Marcus Smart's defense, what are you getting, 1 or 2 single-handed Evan Fournier wins? Like, you know, it's not, I don't think it's this big gap of, oh, well, offense can win you games. Yeah, but that is why Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are there. It's not Evan Fournier or fail. So
I agree with that. And also I think Tatum has to improve being a better playmaker. Brown staying more healthy, being a better playmaker. But I think Fournier adds that element that Gordon Hayward was supposed to have, but then he got hurt, and then Fournier just wasn't good with us in, what, 17 games he played?
Yeah.
You get Fournier a full training camp with these boys, he will 100% give you what Hayward was supposed to give, that 17, 18 points a game, 4 assists, 5 boards, around that ballpark, 100%. So I think offense would flourish.
So when I was reacting, obviously, you know the game, when you're reacting and whatnot, some things you kind of miss just because you're thinking of your thought or whatnot, right? So when I'm reacting to your video originally, I don't think it didn't stick with me when you said either like full training camp either, which, I mean, not like that was even your biggest, you know, piece of, you're more or less arguing the player. But when I watched you react to me, I heard that and I was like, you know, that is a fair point. Like, it kind of dismisses the, hey, like, you know, he didn't gel with the Celtics last year. What did you see? I mean, it's still an unknown. I think, you know what I mean? Like, you don't necessarily know, but that is true that Fournier now, not even like a training camp, he would have a full offseason knowing he's a Boston Celtic and whatnot. And I think, just in case, you know, no one watched either of our videos, which I find it hard to believe, but either way, like, I wanted Fournier too, you know, like, this was far less of a Marcus Smart versus Fournier thing to me. I made that clear because I think Fournier, I wanted him back so badly for all of the reasons you're mentioning. Yeah. I just, and I don't know if, I think you were saying like it didn't seem possible or not when I said, you know, why couldn't you have both, which I kind of wanted to clarify there. This Marcus Smart deal, you know, obviously kicks in after next year. He's obviously signed with the team right now. You could have given Evan Fournier this pretty much same contract. Marcus Smart would still be a Boston Celtic, and you could figure out the contract extension next year, which you knew that they would technically have money for because they're saving all this money for, you know, God knows what next year. Like, hopefully that's going to make a big boom or splash. But I just wanted to clarify that that's where I was coming from with hey, you could have Marcus Smart and Fournier. I'm not saying you could have paid them both right now this money, but it was possible to have them both on the team, which would have been my sort of, I guess, go-to as someone that's in between sort of the players here, because I like both of the guys. But I really do think, you know, you are taking, let me ask you this. I think this is a fair question. Are you taking more of a flyer on Evan Fournier or Marcus Smart? And a flyer, what I mean by that is, are you taking more of a gamble or a chance paying Evan Fournier or Marcus Smart that money?
I will take the gamble on the guy that plays more often and the guy I know can actually score the ball. I'm going to take Evan Fournier. Cool defense is fine. I've seen Marcus Smart go 3 of 15, 1 of 10 from 3, have 5 points. I don't see many explosions. The game against the Raptors in the playoffs in the bubble, scoring 27 points and 8 threes. That rarely ever happens. Yep. I know Fournier is going to be a bucket more often than not.
But you do real, like, and I'm just thinking Celtics. I'm not even talking, hey, take the team out of the question, like, you know, a random team, Evan Fournier 78 marks. I'm saying for the Celtics, you do realize that is still a bigger gamble though, right? Based on what you know from the player. Love or hate Marcus Smart, you do know what you're paying, whether you agree with the number or not. You know what you're getting for what you're paying, whereas Evan Fournier, you've watched him in a couple different uniforms do it, and he came here, and this is, again, I gotta keep saying it over and over. I love Evan Fournier, so I don't want this to be taken the wrong way, but it is more of a gamble to do that. So you're almost gambling on Fournier more or less than just giving Smart money for something you know he can do.
You said the exact same perfect statement that I've tried to say, but just a different take on it. I know what Marcus Smart is. He's a guy that's inconsistent, guy that can't shoot, a guy that tries to do too much. He's a great defender, but offensively, I know on a given night, at
least I've talked you into great defender. All right, it started as pretty good. All right, I'm taking that as a win.
He got the strength time. But for Marcus Smart, man, I know what I have in him. Why not try something new that you know is a better scorer than Marcus Smart, especially when you have great defenders on this team alone? That was again, people, and he said it as well. People try to make this a Smart versus Fournier debate and make it seem like Fournier's some trash player. Fournier could make an all-star team. I don't believe Smart could ever have made an all-star team. I'm sorry.
You know what? I don't disagree with that. I think that's fair. Evan Fournier has more of a chance to average 20-6, and then Marcus Smart does, no matter what categories you're looking at.
Yeah.
So I will give you that. And again, like, even if the Celtics were to do what you're saying and give Fournier the contract and let Smart walk, it wouldn't be something that I'm like up in arms about. I think that was the misconception here, because in my comments, people thought you were this Marcus Smart hater. In your comments, people thought I was this Marcus Smart, ride or die type guy, which I do love Marcus Smart. I do respect what he's done. I know when I said he's given his heart and body out, you gave a big old sigh on your video. But, as much as that is corny and as much as like that is the cliche BS that Celtics fans say, it also, that does not make it false, this guy has, so, it's a cliche. It's absolute loser thing to say if you're trying to even like involve it in an argument. I completely own that, but it didn't make it false. It wasn't like it was like a ridiculous thing to say. It's just a corny thing to say.
I'll say two things. Number one, the take a lot of people have when they're trying to defend a player they know isn't that good. Well, stats aren't everything. That's what they tell me about Marcus Smart. Stats don't tell the full story. He does more than a box score. While that's cool, the box score wins games. The 100% steals, the turnovers, how many points you scored, the assists you scored. Also, I said something in my original video that he then said, and I think he kind of defended me as well, but he was like, Marcus Smart won't put you over the top. And I mean this wholeheartedly. Marcus Smart, you put him on any given team, Marcus Smart's not going to be the reason why they won the title that year. Drew Holiday was the reason why the Bucks. Giannis was obviously incredible. Drew Holiday was the reason why the Bucks won. His defense, his leadership, the fact that he could score the ball well that Eric Bledsoe couldn't do. I believe you can get someone like, let's give it Eric Bledsoe, replacing for Marcus Smart. He can give you defensively what Marcus Smart gives you, and better scoring. Maybe not as efficient, but as better scoring. That wholeheartedly, I believe that.
Yeah, I don't know about the Eric Bledsoe. I mean, maybe if we want to keep on, I don't know, but I don't know about the Eric Bledsoe. Like, I think I think you might be grasping if you're trying to say, hey, Eric Bledsoe, older, smaller, better.
Defender 2 years ago, he scored 17 points in Phoenix. That wasn't too long ago. Never scored 17 points a game. Never.
Hey, I'm not gonna say that you can't say that, but I think that like that just Eric Bledsoe over Marcus Smart. I can't, but what I will give you, and talking on the over the top, right? Because I like what we're doing here. It's a little jab, but then it's like, hey, I also agree with you, which I think is fair, because I don't think we're like that far. This really isn't a beef or anything. Like I think that we're pretty aligned, except for a few obviously like outliers, like this over the top thing. And I think that this could just be like this could just be a definition of over the top. You just said, he's not going to put you over the top. He's not going to be the reason you win the NBA championship. No. I don't take over the top as, you look it up in the textbook of, hey, that means it's the reason you won the championship. I look at over the top as, take the Nets, for example. That's a really good team already, right? You put Marcus Smart on that team, you are over the top because you're at the top with the guys you have. You put a guy like Marcus Smart on that team, you are now over the top. You are now, when you say someone's being over the top or someone's doing something over the top, it means they're already at their limit and now they're over the top. I'm not saying you put Marcus Smart on, I think I said it in my video, the Kings, and they're now over. Like, he's not going to fill up your glass of water, but if you have a full glass of water, you put Smart in there, the thing's going to overflow.
That's where that's interesting. I don't view it that way, but it's a very
totally fair. Yeah, that's totally fair.
It's like, hey, you add a player to this team, how much can they do? You put James Harden on the Timberwolves. Yeah, the Timberwolves gonna make the playoffs. You put Marcus Smart on the Kings or the Hornets. I don't know if he makes them that much better. You see impact on every given night. Yeah,
and I think that's totally fair. And again, it doesn't matter who's got the right or wrong definition. I think that is just like, if we're addressing that point of the videos, that just has to be a semantical thing, because like Marcus Smart is, and how about this? This is kind of aligned to that. I mentioned the Draymond Green comparison. You didn't like that, right?
I didn't like that at all. I did not.
How come?
Draymond Green has proven that he can play on the biggest stages. He's proven that he's also a great playmaker. I think he's a better playmaker than Marcus Smart. Maybe not today, but especially 3 or 4 years ago when the 2015, maybe 2019 run, he was a guy averaging like 10, 7, and 7 on any given night. Also being a defensive player of the year, 2 or 3 times over. That Marcus Smart's not that level of a player. Draymond Green, but no.
I agree with that, but I think that you can look at that both ways. You can say, hey, Draymond Green was there, and that's why he he could perform on the biggest stage. But I'm more or less, and I think there was a comment that you read in your videos, like pessimistic view, optimistic view. If I choose the optimistic view here, I could say you put Marcus Smart on that Warriors team that was absolutely killing it. He could go out and be that playmaker because he's passing to Steph Curry. He's passing to Klay Thompson. You know, he's playing good defense on a team that's already really, really good. I think that could happen. Now, what I will say is Draymond Green's obviously more of an anomaly in terms of being a little bit, I guess, a lot bigger and can doing the stuff he does at his size. But it's not like unheard of to be like, oh, well, you put a guy like that can one, play make a little bit, but also defend. You put him on a really good championship caliber team, he's going to play better than he would on a team that's not a championship caliber team.
I could agree.
And again, we both, I mean, me especially with that take, you got to own the, well, that's an optimistic view. You know, we're not going to find that out. We're not going to get to the bottom of that type of thing, which is fair. But then I also saw people, I don't know if it was in my video or whatnot, talking about Draymond Green shooting and whatnot. Draymond Green had one season where he was a good shooter. Other than that, Marcus Smart literally has been a better shooter than Draymond Green throughout his career, which is, I don't want to go down the, hey, Marcus Smart's a good shooter. Like, that is not my argument. But I do got to address the, hey, well, no, Draymond Green could shoot. No, for half a season, maybe he couldn't, and he still can. So I just wanted to make that clear. But we wouldn't know that. And at that time, you know, if you say, especially when Draymond's balling out, if you ask me, hey, Ev, like, do you want Draymond on your team or Marcus Smart on your team? I'm still going to take Draymond. You know, he's more proven. He can cover more positions, certainly. But I don't think that it's too far-fetched to be like, oh, Marcus Smart on that Warriors team would do very similar stuff. Like, I think that Marcus Smart, I think, could be dishing out 7-8 assists if he's passing to two of the best shooters of all time.
Man, I agree and disagree, man. We're going to go back and forth with this one. I don't think they beat that Cavs team in 2014 with Marcus Smart and no Draymond Green. Now, obviously, if you have KD on the Warriors, obviously they're going to win regardless. But that first round, I don't think Marcus Smart in place of Draymond Green wins. I don't know about that one.
But so let me ask you this: same time frame then, because I can't. How am I going to argue that? You know what I mean, right? Like, but then you put Draymond Green on the Celtics during this time frame or not. How much better are the Celtics, right? They're still where they are. I don't see them winning a championship just because they have Draymond. You know, it's like we're kind of splitting hairs here. And yeah, I think Draymond probably gets the nod, but that's why I kind of put them in the same realm of these are the stuff that they do. And I don't love the you know, oh, it's off the stat sheet stuff. Yeah. Draymond was able to take that workload off of Klay, off of Steph, 100%. And Marcus Smart does that already. And now it's not on a good enough team. And maybe if he was on the Warriors, he would do that for them as well. But I'm just that I wanted to talk the Draymond versus Marcus because I think that was one thing you commented on in your reaction. But again, I think that is absolutely splitting hairs because now you're talking like hypotheticals. You know, I'm saying, oh, if Marcus Smart was here, if Draymond was here, like that's not truly valid, but I don't think it's too far-fetched at all. So last thing then, right? We talked Fournier. I don't know if you have any more on that because I think we did talk about that. We talked Beverly, Draymond. What about that? Are you upset about that number next to Marcus Smart's name in a vacuum? Marcus Smart, $19 million a year. And I guess actually we could say included this contract year, it's technically for the next 5 years, he's making $18 million because obviously he's making, I think, 14 or something now. Right. So if we want to say for the rest of his time here, 18 a year, forget Fournier, forget, you know, other Beverly, forget Draymond, all the stuff we've talked about. What's so bad? Because I think that this is something I touched on in my video about it's just free agency market. What's your take on Marcus Smart, $19 million next to his name?
I'm happy for him and the family. For the Celtics, if you're using it as a trade piece down the road, I'm cool with that. If we're going to keep Marcus Smart for the next 5 years, I'm going to make this statement. I've said this for a couple of years because no free agents flock to Boston. I know Gordon Hayward was one. I wouldn't put it like top 15 player. Horford was another one. Kyrie was a trade. Mm-hmm. If we have a team of Tatum, Brown, and we don't develop anyone other than the people we have, and we don't sign a big free agent, I don't see a way that we win a championship in the next 5 years with Marcus Smart there. If you use that money and trade for Bradley Beal or he signs along next season, you guys trade him away for like draft picks or something, cool. But if you're thinking Marcus Smart, Robert Williams, Tatum, and Brown are winning a title in the next 5 years with Giannis running the thing, Luka and Nikola Jokic and Zion, I don't see it. I just don't see it.
I mean, that's totally. I think that's totally fair, and I think that. But see, that's the thing. I think that has less to do with, And again, I totally get your point. Like, hey, that's money tied up now that we can't go get this additional guy. But I think that money next to Marcus Smart's name from the organization's perspective is so much less about Marcus Smart and so much more about, okay, well, 2 years from now, Tatum's going to be a top 5 guy. Brown's going to be a top 15 guy. Robert Williams, we're banking on now. Obviously, after this extension, he's going to be healthy. He's going to play. Like, they're hoping Marcus Smart is going to be that sort of 4th or 5th best guy just by the guys they have. And that's why he's going to be that heart and soul that you talked about and that I talked about as your 4th or 5th guy. I don't think right now that money might look a little crazy, but 5 years from now, 3 years from now in the middle of this contract, right? You're looking at this contract, I guess, just off the top of my head with like inflation too. That's Marcus Smart being worth $23 million based on that deal. He's still going to be a 19/18, depending on how you were to look at it, $1 million guy. So as this contract goes on, yeah, you're still tied up money-wise, but you got Marcus Smart tied down to, I think, what doesn't look like it now, but in time will, a more team-friendly deal than people think.
Yeah. You made that point, I think, with the Jaylen Brown contract, and I was happy for that. I think he was underpaid, if anything. But yeah, I'm cool with Jaylen Brown comparison. If you're going to talk about that with Marcus Smart, I'm going to live with that. The thing I've never liked, people that were saying, Bobby, it's what we did. We should have done with Isaiah Thomas. We should have paid IT. So we're going to try to show loyalty because other players don't like that. It's baloney. No team in the NBA is loyal other than what they did with Kobe. That's it. No team is loyal. It's just not a thing in sports. So for me, if we're just going to give money because he was loyal, then cool. We're going to be bad. But I think a lot of people were telling me in the comment section, we're going to just have a throwaway year. We're going to be the 7th seed in the East. We're going to get bounced in the first round again. And we're just going to wait for Tatum to continue to develop, and you hope you get Brad Beal next season.
Which, yeah, I mean, that would suck for those 82-plus games, if there's any even plus that we sit through and watch. But to me, just to, I guess, wrap it up, like, I do think, forget Marcus Smart, diving on the ground and giving his all. Forget him being a good defender. Forget, them trying to repay their debts for how loyal he's been. I genuinely think, looking at names around the league, looking at what other guys got, that is just Marcus Smart's price tag, and they gave him his price tag early. They could have waited a year, and it probably would have gone up $2 or $3 million, if they wanted to keep him. I think they gave him his price tag early, and then you cross the next bridge when you're ready to. Like, he can be traded now. That is, as much as Marcus Smart fans might hate to hear it, him making $19 million helps a hell of a lot more trading for a superstar than him making $14-13 million a year. So if you do hate the contract, that is sort of your hope and dream, because now it might sound a little backwards, he's making more money, so he's more tradable. But based on the type of trade the Celtics need, Marcus Smart's way more tradable now. So that is the silver lining if you don't like the contract. But I do think it was just his market value. I think they, that's what he ended up getting. And yeah, that's kind of where I come out on it. I do love that I finally got you to say he was a great defender. I think we both agreed on a lot of stuff that either of us said. So I'm very glad you came on, especially on a short notice. Like, 100%. I just DM'd you this morning being like, hey, you want to hop on the podcast? You're like, yeah. No questions asked. Let's do it. So I do appreciate that. I hope the everyone that was watching and listening, is glad that we jumped on, because there was a lot of people in the comments too asking for the collab. A lot of people. And I don't think I've ever seen two people hop on an opportunity like that either. You know what I mean? Like, we're like, hey, yeah, let's give them what they want. You know what I mean? No ifs, ands, or buts about it. We see it, let's do it. So I'm really glad you came on. And I'm sure we'll talk in the future. I think we definitely should. So any last words before we close up shop here?
Hey man, I appreciate everyone watching my videos. Obviously, hope you guys continue to swirl sports for him, homeboy. Also, too, I'm doing a giveaway, a 2K giveaway. Obviously, 2K been scamming a lot of people's money. I want to give out a free copy of 2K before the game comes out September 9th. Just hit me up on Twitter, and I'll see if I can give you guys a free copy as well.
Nice. Awesome. So where they can find you at real_be smooth on Twitter, right? And then Be Smooth Entertainment on YouTube. I'll have all your stuff linked to this video as well on the YouTube and then the podcast apps and whatnot. But yeah, Bobby, thank you very much for coming on. I think we had a good talk, and we'll see how this pans out, right? We're talking about the future. Who knows what time will hold?
Very true. Very true. Appreciate you, man.